My toddler was hospitalized for 2 weeks shortly after finishing recording this video. So I did take a break. When I did come back to edit this video, I got really emotional. It actually was hard looking back because he was really sick in this video. We didn't realize how serious it was until we took him to the ER. Now this video is a morning in the life with a baby, but instead of talking about that, I'm going to explain to you guys why Mal ended up in the ER and staying at the hospital for 2 weeks and what my experience was at the hospital. At the end of the video, you will see clips of him being hospitalized and then eventually coming back home. So his sickness started off with a cold. Now it's winter time over here, it's cold outside. It's the typical time of the year for us to get sick. At first we didn't think anything of it because he didn't have a fever and he was still playing, being himself. He just coughed a lot. Eventually the cough wasn't going away, it just kind of got progressively worse. Eventually we noticed that his breathing wasn't very good. He was breathing really fast. He kept sucking in a lot of air. Like his stomach kept going in, you could see his ribs. He just looked like he was really struggling to breathe. So I texted the video to a friend who's a doctor, and she eventually said, no, take him to the ER now because that type of breathing shows that he has a respiratory virus of some sort. So we took him to the ER and right away they admitted him. He was put on oxygen because they said his oxygen levels were very low and started him on a breathing treatment to get him back to breathing normal. Now we're thinking we're only going to be here for maybe 2-3 days because that's what the nurses had told us. They said that a lot of kids, especially around this time of the year, come in with a lot of, respiratory viruses, and that they recover within like 2 to 3 days, and by then they are good to go back home. 24 hours in, Mal should have been improving, but he actually wasn't. So they thought Mal's case might be worse. So they suggested that they intubate him. To do that, they need to sedate him so that the ventilator will do most of the breathing for him. This part got really scary because one, we were realizing just how sick Mal was, that he needed to be on a ventilator. And two, having your child on a ventilator is probably one of the scariest things you can imagine. He could not breathe on his own, so he needed a machine to breathe for him. That is something that I thought I would, I just didn't know that is something that I would experience. But the medical staff reassured us that he just needed a couple of days on the ventilator so his body could rest and recover, and then eventually have him breathing on his own again. This is where things started going south. The doctor that we had on our case was one of those doctors that honestly did not seem to really care. She would come in, only talk to the nurses about Mal, and then would leave. After multiple times of telling her, hey, we want to be informed on what's going on with my son. Yes, you're the doctor, but we want to be informed in all of the details. What's going on with him? Is he improving? What are you giving him? We want to be made aware of everything that is happening to him. It's almost as if we didn't even exist to her when she would come in and just talk to the nurses. Like, we're standing right there and you're only talking to them, but this is my son that you are caring for. Eventually, she fixed it and started informing us on everything that was happening to Mal. Another thing about this doctor was she just did not seem like she was on top of it. Like, I felt like she was doing a poor job of caring for my child. Day 4.5, Mal was still not improving. Mind you, he is still completely on the ventilator. And we're asking her why. She's still not really giving clear answers. Eventually, they had the specialist come in to take a better look at Mal's lung to see what was going on and why he wasn't improving. So they put in a camera to get a better look, and they saw that he still had some mucus in his lungs and he was developing pneumonia. But the problem was the tube that was placed in by the doctor and the respiratory therapist was not in the correct spot. Mind you, he was getting x-rays every day to see if the tube was in the correct spot. Had the tube been placed in the right spot, Ma would have improved right away, but the doctor just was not paying attention. The specialist put the tube in the right spot, and already within 45 minutes, his lung was improving right away. The nurse and the respiratory therapist were going to reposition him. When they were repositioning him, somehow the tube came out. Mind you, he's completely sedated, paralyzed, and is fully breathing from the ventilator. The machines start going off and he's making these gurgling sounds, like struggling to breathe type of sounds. The nurses try to play it off and said, oh, it's just a mechanical thing. Like, no, the machines are going off and my son sounds like he can't breathe. Go get the doctor. Finally, the doctor ran in with a bunch of other people because they had to emergency put the tube back in his mouth. They called the anesthesiologist to come in and put it through his nose so it stays better. You guys, it was the scariest moment of our life. Mal was in the hospital for 2 weeks, 1 week on the ventilator and then another week to wean him off the medications that he was on. We were there for Christmas and New Year's. It was such a hard time, you guys. But honestly, I'm just so thankful and grateful that he is back home with us. He's back to playing normal and he's himself again. That was so hard. But these are just some of the pictures that we took when we were there. It was really hard. Even just looking now, it was so hard. But we are so happy that Mal is back home with us.